Hey everybody, you're listening to Sit Down with Stand-Ups. I'm Ari Azizian, and my guest this week is the very funny Kayvon, and he has a great new special out called Thanks God, and you can listen to it on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Amazon. It's hilarious. It's all about his life being half Iranian and half Scottish, and it's absolutely hilarious. And he has a new movie that he just put out. It's a documentary called Nowruz, and it's a comedic journey into the Persian New Year. And if you've ever seen Persian New Year or heard about it and it was confusing, this movie will make 100% sense of what's going on. So definitely check it out. It just came out, so you can order it on his website. His website is kvoncomedy.com. It's k-von, V-O-N, comedy.com. And he's absolutely hilarious. And I was just thinking about it, actually, and I think Kayvon is the first comedian I ever paid to see live, now that I think about it. Because I went to see Maz Jobrani when I finally turned 18 and I can go into comedy clubs. And I went to see Maz at Cobb's in San Francisco, and Kayvon was featuring for Maz, so he came out before Maz. So technically, I saw Kayvon before I saw Maz. So Kayvon's the first comedian I ever saw live, and he's absolutely hilarious. And we talk about being Iranian and being a comedian. So check it out. But yeah, tell me a little bit about Nowruz, your new movie that just came out.
Yeah, so I made this new movie. I wrote it, produced it, directed it, and it's about Persian New Year. And if anyone Googles me, you'll see I don't look Persian. I'm not that Persian. I never was. My dad's Iranian, but my mom, blonde hair, blue eyes. So once I turned like 25, my friend's like, "What are you doing for Persian New Year this year?" I'm like, "What's that?" I had no idea. And it turns out it's like the best holiday ever.
Right.
Kids get money and gifts and new clothes.
Yeah.
And like my dad purposely didn't tell me about it. I think he saved a lot of money that way. But he wanted me to fit in America and all that stuff, so it wasn't on the radar. So
we just had Christmas. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we just had Christmas and regular New Year.
Right.
So this whole movie is like a 1.5 hour journey as I go and learn all the traditions I missed. And it's a comedy, so like I dress like they're dressing.
Yeah.
There's a thing where you have to light fires and jump over them.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so you can imagine what kind of hijinks can ensue with that.
Oh, I can't wait to watch
Yeah,
this.
and then I do stand-up comedy at 17 different parties along the way. So
No way. On Nowruz?
on Nowruz, in the beginning, like my first show, I didn't know how to make them laugh. And they're like, "Make me laugh. You're not funny. Tell a joke about someone from Turkey. This is top-notch material, my friend." But by the end, I got like a standing ovation on the 17th show and stuff. So that's
awesome.
If you're a comedian, you want to watch a comedy tour like no other, you can check out Nowruz.
That's amazing. Was it all in one city, or is it just like
All different cities around the nation, from San Francisco to Florida, up to Boston, and down to LA.
That's awesome. I love the trailer. You're like I've never heard of Nowruz. Like, why is the grass out on the table and there's a goldfish on the table?
Yeah, they bring the grass in the house.
It's so
they put
hard to explain
goldfish.
to people like what the half scene is. Like the table is like.
That's why I made the movie, because people kept explaining it and it kept not making sense.
Right.
So I want to make like the most elementary, easiest way to learn. And it's been going great. We've been doing 15 sold-out screenings all across the nation. We're going to all the cities I went to and performed.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, and all those same people come and they see themselves in the movie.
That's
so
amazing.
It's perfect.
And you got the Iron Sheikh on it, Ahmed, Rudy Bakhtiar.
Rudy Bakhtiar was the first ever Iranian-American CNN news anchor.
Yeah.
And she was on there for 10 years. A lot of guys like, "She's so hot." And Maz Jobrani's in there. And Iron Sheikh.
Yeah.
I go to the Iron Sheikh. He says, "You're not man. You're not humble. I put you in camel clutch.
Let's break your neck.
Break your neck." And he cusses up a storm. But we bleeped it out. This is all ages, rated G.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for making this. Now that I'll be able to explain it and show it to all my friends every New Year.
I've had the best luck with people who are like, "My husband's not Persian. Thank God for this movie. I can now teach him." And so it's cool when they come. And actually, I went to Maine and showed it at a film festival. And this lady's like, "It's a good thing you showed us this side of things, because last time Middle Eastern people were in Maine, it didn't go so well." I was like, "What? Last time?"
Iranian guy in Maine.
Yeah, I'm like, the last time Middle Eastern people were in Maine, it didn't go. What happened? She's like, she goes, "Terrorists."
Oh, no.
So I had to Google it, because that could be anybody.
Right, yeah.
It turns out the 9/11 terrorists hung out in Maine their last remaining days before crashing into the World Trade Center.
Oh.
So I was like, okay. But I highly doubt that was the last time a Middle Eastern person ever stepped foot in Maine.
Hey, they have lobster. Let's try it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got some awards too.
Yeah, we've been in 7 film festivals. We've won in almost every festival
Wow,
except for like one.
congratulations. This is amazing.
The one we didn't win was the Iranian Film Festival.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
They're
Did
like,
you send it into...
your movie not typical Iranian movie. No one is crying.
Yeah.
There's no woman being beaten or crying.
It's not about like some guy losing his shoe for
Right.
2 hours.
Right. He loses
$15 budget.
It was his grandfather's shoe.
Right.
Great disrespect to his ancestors if he doesn't find it.
When did you start doing stand-up? Were you
I started doing stand-up in California right when I moved out here. I moved out here from Nevada. I was like living in Nevada till I was like 20 years old.
You said you're from Reno and you're special?
Yeah, Reno, Nevada, and then Las Vegas. And then I got here to California. I had a regular day job. Life was good.
Where were you working
401k,
at?
company car. I was doing medical device sales. So
Okay,
I'd be in the
cool.
operating room while the doctor was cutting people open. Like, yo, doc, would you care to buy one of these longer needles? It's like the worst place to have a salesman.
Right.
But it was great. And every time the doctor's like, yeah, give me that. Open the package. It costs $2,000. I get like 20% commission.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Boom. So life was just too perfect. I had to ruin it somehow. I wanted to start a boy band, but I didn't have 3 other friends and cool outfits. So stand-up comedy was my only choice.
That's so cool. So you must have been like pretty young, like...
I was like, 23 when I started comedy,
Awesome.
which is not young because you look at guys like Dave Chappelle started at 16, 17.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I
It's
start
like,
regretting it. I'm like, why did I have like loving parents that forced me into like
go to school,
education
right.
and Boy Scouts and, homework? If I just had neglectful parents, I could have wandered my way into a comedy club and been a genius by now.
Because would you always wanted to do comedy? Like, was it always on your mind, like as a kid? And
I always wanted to host after the David Letterman show.
oh yeah,
Such a weird goal for
like a
a
late
kid.
night talk show.
Yeah, I want to sit there in a suit and be like, well, welcome. Today is Friday, and in the news,
Isn't that right, Paul?
Isn't
Just
that
like
right?
cut to somebody.
yeah. And I come to find out there aren't too many spots open to take over the David
Right.
Letterman show. So, and then I was like, how do I do comedy? How do I get into that? And I actually traced David Letterman's roots, and they said he got his start at the Comedy Store. He was a weatherman first, got to start at the Comedy Store, and then they offered him the job in New York. And he hosted with Johnny Carson all the time. So I was like, I have to start at the Comedy Store. And I had some offers to start comedy in Reno. And I'm like, no, I have to start at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
When I got here, I realized it's a figure of speech. Like, getting your start at the Comedy Store doesn't mean the first time you ever touched a microphone.
It's gonna be at the comedy.
I took it a little too literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then that's how it started. And then as a comedian, you're looking for little signs at least every 2 years. Just give me a sign that I should still be doing this. And after about 2 years, Maz Jobrani goes, hey, you want to go on tour with me?
Oh,
It's going to
awesome.
be like 50 cities. We're going to go to the Middle East. We're going to Canada.
Wow.
And I always love when comedy takes me to a place I've never been. It's just beautiful. It's like, yes, I get to use a passport to tell jokes to people.
That's amazing.
And then like a year passed, and I got on the MTV show Disaster Date.
Oh yeah, I
I
remember
was like,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
another sign. Yes, a sign. Yeah, that show was great because girls would be thinking they're going on a beautiful date.
So funny. Yeah.
So it was so stressful because I never really done anything like that. But once I started doing it, I never wanted to stop. Like,
and it was
you
all
can-
like improvised.
improvised. Like, they give you beats. Like, all right, on this date, she hates gym trainers.
Right.
I'm like, I got this in the bag. I used to like be a spin instructor.
Right.
So she comes and sits on the date, and then you just like, oh, you're very beautiful. I notice your body fat isn't, too bad. It's not really a compliment, but she's like,
Underhand.
yeah, she's like, thank you, I think. And I'm like, yeah. In fact, can I bring out these calipers? I'm pinching the back of her arms and her hips. And I'm like, I'm sorry if I do. I'm just a professional. It's just what I do. And a lot of girls just like, oh, well, if he's a professional, they put up with it. And then it gets worse. But if she lets me pinch her arm fat, then she's going to let me move her chair and make her sit on a stability ball at the
Oh
dinner
my
table
God.
because that's better posture.
Right.
And if she lets you do that, then she's going to watch me do push-ups and jump rope in the restaurant. And then, of course, people are like, how come she didn't just run away? It's too weird. But inch by inch, then you find yourself, and that's probably how the Holocaust happened.
Right. Doing push-ups at a restaurant.
It started with Hitler doing push-ups. That's a weird analogy. I don't know how we
I
came to
can
that
get
place.
them to watch me do this.
Right. So yeah, that was a great. I got to do.
But that's really amazing. Like 2 years, and then you got to play the Comedy Store probably pretty quickly. Like,
my first show ever was at the Comedy Store.
wow.
Because I wanted to have just like
Yeah.
David Letterman get my start. So I got my start at the Comedy Store in the Belly Room.
Awesome.
And the show went pretty good. Like I had like 10 people come see me. There's another 30 in the audience, so it was like 40 people. Show went pretty well.
Sweet.
So I came back like 2 months later thinking I got this, and I brought like 60 friends.
Oh.
They put me dead last after, like Steve Renazizi, who was just about to get the show on The League.
Wow.
And like Bobby Lee, who was just landing Mad
man.
TV. And Brian Callen, who was just landing movies.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, they're making me go last because they think I'm the best of these guys. I didn't realize it's a bringer now.
Right.
The bringer has to go last, okay? If you're a comedian, you brought 40 people, you're going to go last because they know as soon as you're done performing, all your dumbass friends will chase you outside and tell you how funny you were, and then the room's empty. So they milked all my crowd. By the time I got up there with my little... So, have you noticed there's coupons in the back of the yellow pages? They're like, what? There's no act out. There's no story. He's not funny.
Even your friends are like, all right.
My friends were they're like, you're horrible.
Oh, no.
You're the worst. Like, we've never seen anyone as bad. Why did you even go up? And they're like, why did you not go up earlier? I'm like, I didn't. They told me, oh, God. So then I quit comedy.
Really?
Yeah, after that. I was like,
For how long?
That was right in the beginning. I quit for like 2 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I was like, I don't want to do this. My friends were like mocking me at work.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And it was bad.
And you just kept working, and
I kept working
would
under
you
the
write
radar.
jokes still? Like, was it still like...
In the back of... Nah, I kind of didn't want to write jokes. I focused on sales again. Focus on sales.
Yeah.
I won a bunch of awards. I was in like Cabo San Lucas and London and
Oh, cool, yeah.
on these trips. And then I was like, I'm always going to regret that one little thing. I was a scared little punk.
That's
I didn't wanna
amazing.
try.
So,
Yeah, so I jumped back on. So what I did first, because I tend to do things if I'm like financially invested, then
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I spent the money. Now I built like the nicest website.
Right.
It had the best business cards you've ever seen and like headshots. So I couldn't even tell a single joke, but I looked so good on
Yeah.
paper. And I'm like, well, now that I've spent $4,000, I might as well live up to this facade that I've created.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, so anyway, I got called in for lots of auditions and things early on because I was like hot and on the scene,
Right.
had all the shinies, and I wasn't even ready yet. I should have just like been under the radar for
Right.
3 years, and then you learn a lot through the mistakes you make.
Do you think that made you like have to work harder and like...
Well, the thing that actually is horrible is that if the industry comes and sees you a lot early on,
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, we know him. So this is like now it's been 6 years later. I want him to come check me out. Like, we saw you.
Yeah, but
No,
it's so long
man.
ago. Yeah.
It should hopefully be like a different comedian at this point.
Right.
So I think enough time has to pass where they forget, new people move around, Comedy Central this, and it's crazy in comedy. Like the doorman of a comedy club might be the head of Comedy Central's new development division in 4
wow.
years.
Yeah.
So, treat everybody good
Exactly,
and shake
yeah.
their hands. Actually, I was really far in with the Comedy Store, and this guy named Tommy had been there for like 15 years.
I
He's
remember
like,
Tommy like
yeah, he's
long
like,
hair.
yeah, you
Yeah.
got to be part of the process, bro, And he's like, you're coming in. We want you to come in quiet and build with your energy and make them laugh through you. Don't yell at your jokes at them. Let it come through your instrument. I'm like, okay. And then he told me, he's like, I got some plans for you at the Comedy Store. I think you're going to be very happy. We'll touch base next week. And the next day, my friend told me he was fired. And
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, you're kidding, right? April Fool's. He's like, no, it's December, dumbass. He's gone. So I was like, oh, no. And now the new manager was a guy I didn't like hang out with as much as I
Right.
should have. He was just kind of hanging there. Now he's the head of everything. I
Oh.
should have smoked weed with that guy like so many times.
In hindsight.
I should have brought him C's candies like you brought me every. So
The new guy's cool though, no? It's like
Yeah, he's a
Adam
nice guy.
Egert, right?
yeah, Adam he's in charge now, and then all the comics came out of the woodwork because like
That's interesting though. Like Tommy, he didn't do stand up either, right?
you know what he said he used to, or he's like I don't go up there because I'm by far the funniest dude.
Oh god.
But my mission and my job is to nurture the talent. And I'm
Okay.
like, But anyone who tells me they're the funniest guy but doesn't go up there, and then I can't,
It was always interesting to me, like the booker, the guys taping all this, like all the business side, they have no idea like how to write a joke, how to tell a joke.
Right. No, they don't. They just need to know how to pack the room.
Right.
And you go on the road, and a lot of comedy clubs are owned by comedians who, after 10, 15 years, like I said, you're waiting for that sign. Where's this? All right, it's not coming. I'm building my own comedy club. And they give themselves some stage time and then bring in headliners that they knew or had a relationship with over the years. So there's always a path. You just got to find what's right for you.
So you just finished this, and the DVD's out, and you're doing the movie tour. Are you still working on this, or are you working on some?
Oh, man. This movie was so hard to make, like an 80-minute movie, because we filmed 150 hours of footage. Then I had to watch it all and note what happened in it. Like if I had a full production team,
right,
someone would be over my shoulder noting, oh, Kayvon fell down.
You edited this whole thing.
So then I sat down with the editor and we edited it all together. This is like a 2.5 year project. It took me out of stand-up like 70% out of the stand-up game.
Oh my gosh.
But I was still dipping in 30%, so I stayed somewhat sharp.
That's so hard.
And this is like a big boulder off my shoulders now. I finished my 1 hour special, Thanks God, and now I'm trying to write new jokes, and I'm a comedian again, finally.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank goodness. Thanks God.
Thanks God.
Thanks God I don't have to do that. So
I love this special too, by the way.
Thank you, man.
Just listening to it again.
Yeah, the 1 hour special we got on Pandora. We got it on satellite radio and stuff. So they're sending little checks for like $12 every 2 months. Like, yes, $12.
Your jokes like about your dad like make me crack up so much. Just like my dad, like this same exact.
Well, any advice like I could give like a new comedian? The one thing is, if you have like any culture or something, if you work with that group and do those are all my clean jokes. Because at their events you can't have curse words. It's not like a comedy club. So whenever I get into a sticky situation and I see kids in the audience, I just my brain flips back over to the Middle Eastern clean jokes. I'm like, hey kids, my dad was like your dad, but he had an accent. Hi, how are you? You're a good boy. You're animal. Don't be animal. And the kids start laughing, and the parents are like, that was really clever.
Yeah.
You got to thank
that is
all
hard,
the preparation that I have an hour of clean material.
Right. Yeah. Because like you're working out at the clubs, and then like you'll go do a show, and you see like an 8-year-old like.
Oh yeah.
That's so hard.
Like I just did an Indian wedding.
Wow.
On Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm not Indian.
Yeah.
And I told them, I go, you see what happens, Indians? You negotiate too much, they send, a white guy that doesn't even match the party. Like they probably wanted Russell Peters, right. And they went through like a couple other Indian comics, and then they ended up with a half Persian. Like that's the downside of bartering. Yeah, so and it was fun. I got to go in front of the crowd, and I pulled out my laptop. I don't want you to think I'm reading notes. I just figured with this many Indians, someone can fix this thing for me. It's been giving me a lot of grief. And then I was like, I put that away, and then I just went, I went into them like just, so is this an arranged marriage, or did you choose to be here? The Indian guy was a pilot, and he took his girl on a private flight, just the two of them, and then proposed to her. Oh, I was like, dude, who was driving the plane? Right. we just had a plane go down because of something like this. I go, second of all, she didn't have a choice to say yes. Exactly. Like you basically took her hostage, dude. You took the woman hostage, and the crowd's just laughing, So some of the funniest stuff, if you just think of it right then and there,
right.
That's what the preparation. If you've been doing the time in the clubs, you can definitely come up with some of that on the fly.
That's so cool. Yeah. So like you reach like a level where you just like, like I always like admire comedians who are like so good at it, because like I feel like you could write a joke and you're like, oh, that's gonna work.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you're just starting out, you're like, oh, this is hilarious. Then you go to the club, you're like, oh.
Yeah, when you first start, you're writing jokes and finding out from the audience that most of them do not work.
Right.
And that's why you have to put up with it. Like I see Chris Rock still dropping in and trying jokes and them not working sometimes. But as you get better, when you're onto something. And there's certain jokes that just came to me. I wish they would all do that. Came to me, I wrote it all out, and the first time I performed it, it was a laugh.
Yeah.
But those are not every day.
Right.
And
do you write every day? Like, do you just set it?
So I wasn't, because I was making this movie,
yeah.
And my schedule was so booked. I used to write on airplanes before they had Wi-Fi. It's like, hello, I'm on a 6-hour flight. There is nothing to do.
Yeah.
But now they put Wi-Fi on, so I'm like, I'll just do like an hour of Wi-Fi and then I'll write. And then you start checking your Twitter, then your Facebook, then your YouTube views. Someone emails you to check your Twitter again, then someone texts you to check your Facebook. And then 6 hours later, you haven't done a damn thing.
Welcome to JFK. You're like, no.
No, my show is in 30 minutes. That's why that's why comics get good on the fly, I feel like, because you have to. When you get real busy, like some of these guys doing sitcoms and like VH1 pop-up videos, by the time they get to the gig, they just got to be like, dude, what's up with your shirt? And then just build something from there.
Right.
And
tell me what that's like to like, just because you just did your whole special, so like you must be working on like all new stuff right now.
I am. See, this special
How difficult is that to...
Well, it's because this stuff I've taped is some of my best material, so you have to... And there's a lot of temptation to go into it, especially if a show starts going bad. Okay, let's go into it. But before this special, I had 0 jokes. So when it was going bad, I just had to roll with what I had.
Right.
So, but I still, once people kind of paying to come see you, if a couple jokes in a row don't work, like back to the stuff I know works, get them on board, then, jump back. But now I'm trying to do all a new hour. And what that is, this whole special right here that you're looking at, Thanks God, is about being half Middle Eastern and knowing nothing about it and learning. All the jokes that come with that. This new one, I don't want to even say the word Middle Eastern once. I don't really want to say Persian once because I don't want people to say, oh, he has to go back to that every joke.
Right.
So I'm talking about dating, texting. How come guys have to pay for dinner?
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't we make the fatter person pay for dinner? They're hungrier. Like stuff like that. And the problem with that stuff is like my brain works kind of like offensively. Like the original thought I have is an offensive thought to most people. In my mind, it's not.
Yeah.
So then I spend the next like 2 months trying to figure out how to say it gentler.
That's awesome. So you're like, your first thought is the line, like that you should cross.
Right. The first thought is crossing the line.
Right. Yeah.
Then the next thoughts are, then I add words to make the line meet, and then I'm walking on the line.
Yeah.
So, and once I'm walking on the line, that's as far as I go with it. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so like, it's funny. Some people are like, you're so clean and this material is so great. And other people are like, I love how dirty and how rude and mean it was. People have their different opinions of the same material. I just did a NACA college showcase. The college kids have to book. And I just do jokes like this. I go, we have so much food in America, we don't even eat American food anymore. Like when it's time to eat, you're like, let's have something different. Chinese, Japanese, Indian, Vietnamese, Korean, Mongolian, Thai, Persian, Peruvian, Italian, French, Greek, even Ethiopian food. We have it here. They don't even have it there. And the kids are like, dude, I love your like dirty jokes and how mean and cruel they were. And I'm like, that's really not a cruel joke. Right. It's like an observation. But he felt that was like a really dirty joke. Because I go, when
this was all clean?
That's all clean. Yeah. Wow. The worst word I say is, this is bullshit.
Right.
And technically it's my uncle saying it, so I didn't say it. It was a character. Yeah, it's a quote. I quoted someone else. Yeah.
It is. Now that I was like, because I just listened to it and I didn't realize it was all clean. Wow.
It's all clean. And then the next special is like PG-13. So I'm thinking my one after that will be R, and then it's going to be XXX. Yeah, we're going to be naked on a stage. Like people are like, what's he doing? He's just trying to progress through all the different letters.
That's so cool. And so now you're going like the Comedy Store, and like how many times do you have to go, like a night or a week, to sort of build material?
I'm lucky in a way because I'm not a new guy. I'm not a Comedy Store regular yet, but I was friends and family for the last 5 years. Like, what is it going to take to become a regular? I've watched guys who just came in off a bus from Ohio, and now they're regulars.
Yeah, what is the like order?
It's no rhyme or reason. You get in with the right people, you got some good friends, and you land a little TV spot.
Is that your name on the wall?
And they write your name on the wall.
Oh, okay.
There's only 500 names on the wall. The club's been open 40 years. So every year, maybe 10 names on the wall.
Right.
And some of those names that are on there are Jerry Seinfeld and Dave Chappelle
right.
and, all those guys. So you start seeing names on there, you're like, Luke Davidson, what the hell is this? Kayvon has been coming here for 10 years, man. My first show ever. But you can't get mad about that stuff. You just keep popping in. And some people think I'm a regular. I've been there so damn much. So like, hey, man, can you come in the belly room and do a spot? I'm like, I'll be right there. I run up because they're allowed to grab like a regular when it's time. And I'm not going to correct them. Like, no. Technically, I don't really belong here.
I'm only family and friends.
I'm family and friends. Go get that guy. I'm like, nah, man. And so it's all good. I do that. What's great about the comedy clubs in L.A., or do a lot of your listeners, do they live in L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay, so they know you can walk from Comedy Store, then you just walk to Laugh Factory. That's usually where my night ends because I'm too tired to walk to the Improv after that.
Oh yeah.
But if you're really well, first of all, you should be driving. But if you really want to get your exercise, then you would go to the Hollywood Improv, and that's a good triathlon every night.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
big, strong legs, and hopefully you get on stage at one of the three, if not more. Many times, just showing up is how you get a spot. Show up at the Laugh Factory. What are you doing here? You're not booked. Oh, I'm just watching. Well, just so you know, a comedian just called in sick. Would you like to go up for 6 to 40 minutes, depending when he gets here? You're like, hell yeah, let's go. You
nice,
know.
Awesome.
And I've got to do that a couple times. We're like, we'll light you when the comic gets here. That's kind of weird because you don't know if you should kind of go through your best jokes early on,
Right? Yeah.
or kind of ease into it. Do you have 6 minutes or 26 minutes?
Yeah.
But you try to work with that.
That's so interesting. I had no idea like how like all this works. Like,
Yeah.
'cause, yeah, I'd go to like a show and then I'd see like later like they were like at 5 different places. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing because people would be like, you know, when can I ever see you at the Laugh Factory again? And part of me is like, I don't know, because I just show up and sometimes they throw me up. But like some people, they write on the website, like on people's Facebook, when are you going to be at the blank club? And I'm like, the guy is down the street every single night. So just walk. You know, fans don't know that all the time.
Yeah, just any night.
Any night. We're all at every club every
Right.
night. When I go out of town, I always find the comedy club in that local town and drop in, give them my business card. Hey, if you have 5 minutes, cool. I would love to showcase for you. That's a great way to kind of get your face in front of them. Because if you just email them and send them your links, they're not gonna
Look at.
they're not gonna always pay attention to it. But if you show up, get there 30 minutes before the show starts, so don't get there right when the show starts because they're like, no, dude, you're
We're
done.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then many times I've booked like a whole week off of a 3-minute or 4-minute set.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because you figure if you train in LA, you're probably one of the better, not always, but you're probably one of the better comics in Oklahoma that week.
Yeah.
Because this is like the dojo. This is where people are
Right.
like fighting hard. And there's nights like back when Dane Cook was so hot, like HBO, Comedy Central, $25 million a year. Girls would just come and go woo through his whole set, whether it was
Right,
no matter what. And they'd be like, all right, Kayvon, you go up now.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, I have nothing. I have no TV credits. Even my clothes don't look as good as his. Like, nothing is going to work. And the first time I had to do that, it didn't work too well. Then the next time it went okay. Then the third time I was like, forget this. I'm just going to have fun and just try to kill.
Yeah.
And it went pretty well.
Wow.
Some people are like, we liked you. You are our favorite tonight. I'm like, are you kidding me? Me? You're dumb. You have bad taste. But so then when you go to like, you know, let's just say you go to like Iowa.
Right.
You're like, I've had to go before and after some crazy killer comics. I can mingle in with this group, I'm sure. And that's a good confidence booster.
That's so cool. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, like, because you started in LA, so, like,
Yeah.
what was that like? Because,
I started in LA, but I lived in Redondo Beach.
right.
So I was kind of, I always say like a shark because circling Hollywood. I would
Yeah.
come in, take a bite, and
Then
leave.
go back to the beach.
I would go back to the beach and do shows in Huntington Beach, Seal Beach, Irvine. There's great comedy communities out there. You can really work on your act, and the powers that be are not watching you under a microscope. So when you bring your jokes to Hollywood, they're already somewhat seasoned. Trying new material in Hollywood is like,
Yeah.
I mean, you should do it. Why not? But people are watching. It's like, does this guy ever get a laugh? You know, if
Right.
something doesn't work.
And this crowd is like, they come out here like 2 nights a week, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
they've seen everybody.
They've seen everybody. So now that I'm finally officially in Hollywood, now the shark is like in the middle.
Yeah,
there.
that's awesome.
Now I gotta start biting more and harder.
That's so cool, and it's great to hear because, like, I'm kind of just starting to out
Mm-hmm.
here, and I always hear, like, comics are like, start, like, in, like, Boston or, like,
Yeah.
where nobody can see you. Like, don't
Yeah.
move to LA or New York. Huge mistake.
Get a feel for your comedy, your material. Get seasoned and come out here. You're still the new guy, but you built up your muscles a little bit
Right.
instead of just some like puny guy on the beach, no tan and everything like that. You look pretty tan, so you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What
that's your new special. You said, I mean, your new material that you're working on. You said you're gonna stay away from the Iranian jokes and like
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I just want to talk about other things that are like going on, whether it's social issues like, you know, wasting food and water, or whether it's dating issues.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
There's lots of material there, and it's more relatable to the mainstream.
Right.
And that's what I want to go for, is just mainstream everyday people can be like, yeah.
Yeah, dating stuff and all that. Like,
The
it's
only
more-
problem with it is there's so many comics doing the mainstream material that people are like, I kind of have a joke kind of like that, or
Oh,
I
yeah.
do a dating joke about food, and I do. So that's, you got to put your signature on these jokes.
Right.
That's what I'm racking my brain with. Which, okay, these jokes are good, but how do I make it so no one's like, oh, that sounds like Bobby's joke or whatever.
Right.
And I've had some issues with that because, like, I used to do this joke where you take, how come girls can wear high heels, complain that a guy is shorter than them. Then
Yep.
we go back to our place, take off your heels, and now you're up to our waist,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good area, so we don't complain about it, but it's just kind of funny that you complain. And I dropped down onto my knees and looking up and going, oh, you are taller than me after all. And someone's like, oh, you can't do that because this comic does that and that comic does that. And I looked it up, like every comic does that.
Right.
They show how a girl looks when they take off their heels.
Yeah.
And they're shorter. So I'm like, sometimes the most original ideas you think you have, and even if you thought about it in your own bedroom with a note,
Yeah.
pen and paper,
Someone
has also had that original thought. And so you don't want to get like, there's a lot of comedy police.
Mm-hmm.
These are comics that don't have much going for themselves,
So they just watch everything.
but they just watch everyone else and then just start like coming up and accusing.
Exactly. I would always like text a joke to like a buddy or something. He's like, oh, hey, Tommy from like Nebraska does that joke. I'm like, I don't know who that is.
And that's the thing. Like back in the day, I'm sure like, George Carlin didn't worry about what,
Right, yeah.
Tim Donaldson in Washington, D.C. was doing.
They
But
said
now
like
it's
Henny
on
Youngman and those guys would share jokes.
They would share jokes. Oh,
Yeah.
most comics when they started would do another comic's act
Yeah.
and get great laughs, and like it was
So easy.
so easy.
YouTube ruined everything.
YouTube, everyone can know, hey, that's not yours. But yeah, I think even who was it? Like Henny Youngman, Larry King, he wanted to do stand up growing up and stuff. They would just perform in other comics' acts in their living room for their family or at the Elks
Right.
Club. And they're like, you could do a great, Jerry Lewis. That's great. And then that was it.
Yeah.
And then they got their start and started writing their own jokes after a successful career had already
I
begun.
know, yeah.
That's not how it is anymore, people. Don't try that at ponchos.
And bunches. So I wanted to ask like what your like interests were. Do you like making movies now that you've tried it?
Yeah, I always say that if I knew how hard it was to make that 90-minute comedy documentary, I never would have done it. And I can't wait to do it again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like so much fun when you're done. Because now when I go to each city, what I do is I put the movie in. I get like 100, 200 people to a movie screening. We've sold out many little theaters. It's great. Hit play, and I watch my comedy movie with them, and then they laugh, and I'm not having to do any work.
Wow, that's awesome.
Then at the end, I go up and go, hey, so what'd you think? And they're clapping for me.
You just open for yourself.
Yeah, just open. Then I say, who has some questions? And then I do stand-up comedy / improv off of their questions. So if they're like, hey, is there anything you wish you did different? I'm like, obviously she wasn't a fan, ladies and gentlemen. What? No, I am. I just want to know what you wish you did different. So then I do that for 10 minutes, and then I stand by my T-shirt booth, and people are like, they're like even more. It's hard to explain. They're more connected. Like if you do stand up, they're laughing. Oh, you were funny. But when they watch a movie of you, when they take pictures, sometimes they put their arm around you and they're kind of shaking because in their mind they had just watched a movie star,
Right.
Or now they're standing next to. I don't know. It's like probably some primitive psychological thing there, but cool. I'll take it
on the big screen.
Yeah, it's a big screen. So
that's so cool.
That's why those people that are on the big screen so much, they have an effect on people because they're like, I feel like I know him, but he doesn't know me.
Right,
It's almost you've been like a voyeur for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm peeking through the bushes, and now he's looking at me.
You go on tour a lot, and you mentioned the first time you went on tour.
Too much. I go on tour too much.
How did the Iranian jokes? Did you have to tailor them to certain cities where?
No, I was lucky because I went on tour with Maz Jobrani, which has mainly Persian, Middle Eastern, and Indian crowd.
Oh yeah.
And I went on tour with Shang Forbes.
Oh, yeah.
Shang has mainly black and white crowd. And I went on tour with Darren Carter.
Oh yeah,
which is mainly Latino, black and white crowd. So by the time all these jokes on Thanks God, even though they're Persian related, I know they work in every city because I would try them on the Shang show.
Right.
And black people would be laughing.
Yeah.
Or Latinos would be like, you're stupid, fucking hilarious, bro. So and then they would say Thanks God, oh my mija, and she says that, whatever.
Thanks God now.
Yeah, so these jokes have a lot, hopefully relatable to lots of people, but it's cool if you go on tour with a couple different people, because sometimes like one crowd is very specific to one genre, and I like to mix it up. That way I know what's going to work if I'm on my own.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
love that. I love to hear like I love hearing that works like with everybody and it's so universal.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I made the movie in one way, because people were saying your jokes are like, some critics would say in Hollywood, well, that stuff only works in LA.
right.
And so I had to make a movie of me going on tour and showing it working in every major city.
That's so cool.
That way, if they ever criticize me, I'll slap the movie in
Yeah.
front of their face and be like, here you go, bro.
That's so cool. No, every time like I like travel or go somewhere, like I'll just be like in another state or country. I'm like, I wonder what makes all these people laugh. Like, is it the same thing or?
Yeah, same thing. Comedy, people laugh, especially if it's unique to you and you're coming from the heart and you believe it. Like, you believe what you're saying. Because actually, some jokes I wrote, I thought were funny when I wrote them. And after like 2 years, you don't believe in them anymore.
Yeah.
And then the joke stops working, even though it's a good joke. And then you put it away, and then you bust it out one night. Just you see someone wearing that shirt, and you go
Right.
into that joke about that thing, and then boom, and you're like, oh, you fall back in love with it
Yeah.
again.
Oh, that's
Probably
so
how
cool.
some marriages work. You have to
Jokes and marriages.
jokes in marriage. You have to realize why you made that joke. And the great comedians are also great actors, because they can tell the joke as if it's the first time every single night,
Right.
4 times a night. And I watch them on stage and they're like laughing at it. And I'm like, it can't possibly still be funny to
Yeah.
you. This is 3 years later.
Exactly.
Like, oh, dude, what if I had this shirt on that, like, and you're like, he does this every night. But God bless him, man. He believes it.
Yeah.
That's the thought he had when he first wrote the joke. That's how he should tell it. That's something I need to work on too, is just, tell it how you thought it the first time you wrote it.
Right. Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
cool. And you mentioned you improvised a lot, like with the crowd now and stuff.
Trying to more and more, just because 2 reasons. One, I haven't had time to write on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing Wi-Fi. And secondly, because you get bored with your own jokes. Now, the way to get your joke to be unique and sound like the first time is if it starts in a new way. So if I'm doing it by myself, hi everybody, so my name is Kayvon. Yeah, that's right. I'm this and that. That's one thing. But if I'm like, hey, what's up, dude in the front row? What's your name? And he's like, Kave, or something. I'm like, Kave? Oh, so you had the same problems I had. See, my name's Kayvon. Dude, we could be like a black rap group. What? Now you're gonna get into those same jokes.
Right.
But the ignition switch was a new thing. That guy.
Yeah.
And now this fire's behind your eye. People are watching you. Then they come up after, like, dude, when that guy said Kave, you just kept going. And that's part of the magic of comedy.
That's so cool. Yeah. And it keeps it fresh for you too.
Yeah.
And, like more fun and.
Yeah, because now you made like the Rubik's Cube work off of a new puzzle piece.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's like, it's good.
That's so cool because I've always like been fascinated, and I come from like more improv background than stand up, and I was
Yeah.
just wondering how do you incorporate like can
Right.
you do improv at
Oh.
a stand up club or like no like
There are people who do improv in a clever way. Darren Carter will say, I like my women like I like my cars, jacked up and used
Yeah.
with a spare tire, And then he'll be like, you guys yell it out. I like my women like I like my. And then one guy yelled out, basketball. He's like, getting passed around by black dudes? And that's how you incorporate. That's how you incorporate improv, and like that's probably the best way I've seen it used. Where
I
the
love
crowd,
him and like Ian Bagg and like those
great.
guys.
Oh,
who
Ian
can
Bagg's
do
a
it.
different kind of improv artist. Ian Bagg just comes up and just, man, he's really good. We were on Last Comic Standing together this year.
Oh, cool, awesome.
Yeah, so anyway, if you're listening and you want to check out some of my stand-up, Last Comic Standing on NBC, July 22nd is when it starts, and I think I'm in a couple episodes.
Sweet.
Maybe more. I can't say how
That's
far I
amazing.
went because
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I had no idea. So it's
Yeah.
coming up in July.
Yeah, and Ian's on the show as well. Very
That's so
funny.
cool.
Very funny. The guy is.
How was that? Was it fun? Did you have to go to
It's
like
so
a bunch of
stressful.
places or?
You work your whole comedy career to get a good hour, and when you get to the best you've been, they go, great, now compete at a 2.5-3 minute set.
Oh yeah.
Now you got to take your hour and figure out what is the best 3 minutes.
Right.
And many jokes are funny if you say them halfway through your act, but if you just come out and start with it, people are like, who is this jerk? Because you didn't take them to
Right.
that place.
Yeah.
The roller coaster hasn't gone there yet. You're just starting at the hill going, Wah!
Yeah, that's so hard.
So yeah, you have to. It was very hard. How was the experience? It was hard. It was fun. It was exhilarating, and the stress was so high that my next shows were so easy in comparison.
Wow.
Got to walk out. No one's judging me.
Right,
Roseanne, Keenan Ivory Wayans, and Norm Macdonald aren't staring at me with a
Macdonald's
notepad.
judge? That's great.
He's like, yeah. You, like I did one joke. I'm like, I did a voice. I'm like, I'm not Persian. I'm not like, hi, how are you? What you are doing? You're really a sexy girl. He's like, one judge was like, I really loved your character. Another judge was like, I really liked your stand-up and how you pieced it all together. Very good. And he's like, that voice you did, I played poker with a guy who sounded like that. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm waiting for him to be like, and that was it. He's like, okay. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Norm.
Thank you, Norm.
He's so funny.
He is.
That's how I know Adam is from his podcast. It's just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Norm had a podcast for like 3 months.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's hilarious because Norm doesn't even know what a podcast is. Really, he's just
what
like,
are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. And Adam was like the sidekick for it, but.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah,
I like that.
So that's so cool. It's like, I mean, you have to write like new 2 minutes like every week, like pretty much.
You do. I mean, it doesn't have to be new. It could be from your act, but you have to design it. And it's hard because it's like picking your kids. It's like, well, this kid has more promise.
Right.
This kid is smarter, but does the crowd want smarter or do they want more slam jam in your face jokes, So like some of my jokes are like, slam dunk in your face. Others are more put on your thinking cap and be clever with it. And it's
That's
hard.
so hard, yeah. And are these usually like at a comedy club or like at a theater?
They built a theater style comedy club on the NBC lot.
Okay. Is it like...
It's the most perfect comedy club I've ever performed in.
That's awesome.
Imagine... Because here's how they do it wrong on TV a lot. They put a huge gap between the stage and the nearest front row. So you're performing, but you can't like high-five. Everyone is right on the stage, like sitting there, and you could high-five them if you so choose. But then they go up into the bleachers, and then there's bleachers on the right and left, and everyone's smiling, and then the host... And the warm-up guy are like, come on, clap, clap, clap. Make this guy feel good. He's competing.
Yeah.
Go. And so you come out and you already feel like a, movie star or comedy star. Just add water.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you're like, yeah. And some people didn't really milk it. I came out and was like, yeah. Like, this is all for me. They were not told to clap. They just saw my face and just couldn't help themselves. They were overtaken.
That's awesome.
It was a great experience. And I wish I could tell you what happens, but
God,
signed $1 million release.
Oh, man.
I don't have $1 million, so.
So excited.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And can people go and get Nowruz pretty soon?
So thank you for listening. If you go on Google, just type in Kayvon Comedian, Kvon Comedian. Message me, get 2 free tickets to any show you see on there, including the Nowruz movie coming live to you on May 19th in San Jose or May 21st in Hollywood, California.
Sweet. I will be at the Hollywood one.
Okay. Free tickets for you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.